Today I want to show you what exactly is going on in my goat fields. So today I'm going to be giving you a tour of both the fields and then all 4 of my goats, and then obviously Percy the billy goat, who is here as well. So let's get straight into it. So I'm going to start off this video by going over the original first goat field here, and then we're going to work on the brand new one over there, which is still obviously a work in progress, but it's very exciting. So to start off, at the bottom of my original goat field we have this smaller climbing frame. Now there is a second one over there, but we'll get to that in a moment. So this one here was basically 4 pallets put together in like a square cube with one on the top, and then we've also got a path going across there to another box of pallets, and then Henry is on the top enjoying it at the moment. Henry is one of my weather goats. He's 3 years old. He's a pygmy goat, but he's just humongous, and it does not feel like he should be 3. But yeah, no, I've almost had him 3 years, which is amazing. Look at him. Wait, look at his face. Also, I wanted to mention, we do have a bit of a lake going on here. It did flood quite badly the field the other day, where the water was probably up to here, just in front of their sheds. Oh man, it was not great. If we move round from the climbing frame over to the 2 sheds here, the one on the left is the very original goat shed I had, which Oscar still uses, and that's pretty much the only reason why it's still here. You can see it's kind of falling apart at this point, and it's not the best thing, but it fits Oscar, so that's not too bad. And then over here, we have also got the bigger, newer goat shed in this field, which works amazingly. As you can see, it's like a metal arc, and it works really well. All my goats can fit in it. It's windproof, rainproof, it's great. Now these pallets out the front don't look the best, but it's only really because of the flooding we had the other day, just to make sure they weren't walking in wet, dirty mud on their hooves, because I don't really want them to rot away. And also, sadly, they do waste a lot of straw kicking it out the front. So there's 2 types of straw I use for my goats. Either I use barley straw or wheat straw, but I much prefer the barley straw because not only do the goats use it as bedding, they also eat it as well. Also in this field, we have my other goat, Oscar. He too is a weather goat. He's not 2 years old because his birthday's like next Wednesday, but he's very lovely as well. Come here, Oscar. Him and Oscar aren't like brothers. They had Oscar, that was completely unnecessary. Anyway, this is Oscar. He's normally a lot more friendly than that, but yeah, Oscar and Henry, and then the other goats are over there. And that leads me over to this pallet here, where normally these pallets are also like scattered around a bit or piled up for them to run around on and climb with, but this one's just there because the others are in use. But if you move it this way, you've got a very tiny tyre pile, which the goats again do use and they do actually quite enjoy, but it needs more and it needs to be moved around basically. When it comes to the pallets or the tyres, I do like to move them around a couple of times a week, just because it keeps the goats interested and stimulated, because if I leave them in the same spot for a couple of weeks, they just get a bit bored and then trying to escape or something like that. And if I don't move them around, the goats get a bit bored and then like to break things or try and escape or just be painful. Another thing that's in my field that's really awesome is this huge branch here. Now this branch fell out of this big tree almost 2 years ago now, I think, and the goats is using it as basically a scratching post. You can see all the smaller branches are gone, all the bark has been chewed off. So I think the best bits are these knobbly bits here, where they basically get them behind the horns, give themselves a good itch where they can't reach. Last but not least, in this field we've got this pretty awesome climbing frame. Now this is probably the best thing I've made for my goats, and my goats absolutely love it. Now it started off with just this ramp section here, and then I added on this smaller bit here, and then we've got another big cube of pallets with another one on top obviously, and then some just little extra sections. The goats really like it because they can see people walk past the path and kind of see everything that's going on, but also they can just watch the allotments and off into the distance a bit more. It gives them a bit more height. And that is something I would like to put in on this new field as well. And then on the climbing frame we do also have the goat's hay feeder over here, which is missing a basket because I've used it over in the new field. But they're so good at wasting hay, it's unbelievable. So that's a very brief overview of my goat field. Now this is the first one, obviously the original goat field, which we've almost had for 3 years along with the boys as well, and it's been great. But next I'm going to show the new goat field, which has been up and running for just over 2 months now, and it's got Phoebe and Maya, my other 2 goats in, and then we've also got Percy the billy goat. Now as a whole, I've really enjoyed having 2 goat fields now. It's been great for space-wise, but the new field, especially with all that flooding we had, like I mentioned down at the bottom, there was a huge lake. This field has not coped well. It's just mud, and I'm so lucky something is happening tomorrow to stop the flooding being an issue. You can see what I mean. All round by the gate is just absolutely horrible. Anyway, coming out into the middle, over here luckily is pretty dry in this area here. It's not dry, but it's okay. But yeah, no, these are the 3 goats that are in the field. Obviously, you've seen Maya already. We've got Phoebe, my other goat, and then this is the billy goat Percy. So I've got some pretty exciting and also quite sad news. So tomorrow, Percy will be leaving. He's been here for about 6 weeks now. The girls should be bred, and I've talked about that a lot in my previous videos. Now that's really good because it means the girls can go back in the old, bigger field where it's a lot drier and cleaner. Right, let's get on with the tour. These lot are going to be following me everywhere. So to get into the original field, obviously there's my gate there, but this is the gate into this field here, and this is basically all new fencing, gates. Oh, it's amazing. This was put in about 2.5 months ago now with proper stock fencing, a really awesome gate, and it works really well. The goats haven't escaped at all, and it keeps them in very well. Doesn't it? It keeps you in the field. Yeah. Percy! No, don't run away. Okay. Most of this field, though, is just open grass. Now, when I made it, we did use a big loader, but you can see compared to how it was when it was first completed, it's a lot greener. I did briefly mention this in my last video, but for the next 3 months, this field's going to have nothing done to it. There's going to be no goats in it. I'm not going to walk around over here. We're just going to leave it completely to recover and grow back, and hopefully be a lot drier, cleaner, and less muddy. And for the only things that are in this field is the shed over here. Obviously you've got the 2 boxes, and then which was a very, very temporary hay feeder here. But you can see the flood has not been treating this area well. It's all very, very muddy and boggy, and it's just horrible for the goats and their little hooves. So over here we've got our straw box. Obviously this very temporary hay feeder, which I'm just going to get rid of now. It's just pointless basically. And then in here we've got hay, we've got the wheelbarrow obviously. And yeah, we've been having a couple of issues with the roof. Not this side, luckily, but the other side is pretty destroyed. And we'll be going over that probably in the next video, I think, or the video after, or something like that. Yeah, it's just horrible. Like, this is just horrible for them. Isn't it, Phoebe? It's just horrible. So the shed itself is basically just a cheap garden shed with a bit of reinforcement on the inside, and then some pallets and hay feeders, as you can see. This is basically to section off the shed so I can store hay feeders in like a box there, but also the girls can eat hay inside the shed in the dry where they're not going to get destroyed hooves, and it's not in the rain either. So that is my goat field for 2024, at the very beginning. You can see not much has changed too much with the original field, but there's still a lot I want to do this year to improve and like fine-tune a little bit. So the small shed, for example, either will get fully replaced, but we do have to do some repairs to it. I do also need to improve the hay feeders in that field just so they don't leak hay and we can put stuff out in the rain for the goats. But what I'm really excited for is filming what's in my goat field for 2025, just because this field here is going to be so different over the course of the year. I've got so many projects I need to get done. There's so much we need to do to get it fully completed, but also the original field behind me is going to be done as well, hopefully, to a really good point where I'm happy with it, and we're going to have some more goats. And we might even have Percy in that next video, but I think it's unlikely, sadly. But we've got so much to do this year, to work on the fields, work with the goats. It's going to be really exciting. I definitely recommend you subscribe because it's going to be a lot of really cool projects. So thank you so much for watching today's video. Hopefully we'll be back in another one with a much drier field. But until then, you can check out this video to watch the 2023 field tour.